Good afternoon, students. So today we are going to see the last part of the fourth module, that is inter-thread communication. So in this we are going to see what exactly the inter-thread communication is. So how to achieve this inter-thread communication in the program, what are the methods we should use in the program, and then we are going to see two problems which will make use of this inter-thread communication concept. Inter-thread communication. Multi-threading replaces event loop programming by dividing your task into discrete logical units. So here, as already we have studied, multi-threading is nothing but what? When one task will be given to you, the task will be divided into the number of tasks and each task will run independently. Threads also provides a secondary benefit. They do away with polling. Polling is usually implemented by a loop that is used to check some condition repeatedly. Once the condition is true, appropriate action is taken. But this polling is going to waste the CPU time. So here to study this polling problem, we are going to see the bounded buffer problem, that is producer-consumer problem. So in this producer-consumer problem, what exactly happens is that there are two processes. One we call it as a producer process, whose job is to go on producing some data items. And there is another process called as a consumer process, whose job is to go on consuming the items which are produced by the producer process. So until and unless producer will not produce the item, the consumer will not go on consuming the items. So this is what exactly the producer-consumer problem is. Consider the classic queuing problem where one thread is producing some data, which we call it as a producer process. Another is consuming it, which we call it as a consumer process. Producer has to wait until the consumer is finished before it generates more data. So here is a one restriction, that when the producer produces a one item, the consumer has to consume it. So until and unless consumer will not consume the produced item, the producer will not go for producing more data items. And when the producer produces the data, the consumer has to consume it. Consumer has to consume it. So until and unless the consumer will not consume, the producer will not go for further producing of the data items. So in this polling system, it is going to waste the CPU cycle. So to avoid polling, Java includes an elegant inter-process communication mechanism via the three methods: wait, notify, and notify all methods. These methods are implemented as final methods in objects. All three methods can be called only from within a synchronized context. Wait is a method which tells the calling thread to give up the monitor and go to sleep until some other thread enters the same monitor and calls the notify. So the syntax of this is final, void, wait, which throws interrupted exception. Notify wakes up the thread that called wait on the same object. So the syntax is final, void, notify. Notify all wakes up all the threads that called wait on the same object. One of the threads will be granted access. So syntax is final, void, notify all. So first we'll write a program which has incorrectly implemented the producer-consumer problem, that is without using this wait, notify, and notify all methods. So what exactly the problem we face in that program we'll see, and then we'll go for including this wait and a notify methods in the same program so as to synchronize between the producer and the consumer. So this program consists of four classes. First one is a queue, the queue that you are trying to synchronize. Then a producer, the threaded object that is producing queue entries. Consumer, the threaded object that is consuming queue entries. PC, the tiny class that creates the single queue producer and consumer. So here is a program, first we have defined a queue class which consists of two methods. One is a get, another is a put, and which consists of a one field called as a n. So we have a synchronized get method in which we have displayed the value of a n, and once it has displayed we have written the value of that. So in the put method, whatever the producer produces the item, that value we are going to store it here in this dot n, and the same value we are going to display it onto the computer screen. So here remember, when the producer is go on producing the item, it is going to call the put item, that is put method, and when the consumer want to consume the item, it is going to call the get method. Okay, next we'll go for defining the producer class which implements a runnable, because this class we are going to define through the creation of a child thread, and the task we have given it to produce the items. So we have written a constructor producer to which we have passed an object of the class queue, then create a thread and call the start method. Once you call the start method, it is going to jump to the run method of the producer class, where you are going to call the put method of the queue class, that is queue.put I plus plus, the initial value of I you have set it to 0, so it is going to call this, and based on that it is going to show you the output. So next we have is a consumer class, which is again the task of consuming the items, which we are going to do it by creation of a new new thread. So again it implements the runnable interface. Then we have defined a constructor queue. We have assigned the values of the queue to this. Then we are going to call the start method in turn, which is going to call the run method, which is going to call again the get method of a queue class. So after that we have created an object of the queue class, then object of the producer class and object of the consumer class. So it is go on producing the items, then produced item will be go on consuming by the consumer, and once you want to stop the program, you need to press the Ctrl C. So now if you see, we'll be able to get the output like this. Although the put and the get methods on queue are synchronized, nothing stops the producer from overrunning the consumer, nor will anything stop the consumer from consuming the same queue value twice. Now if you see here, first the producer has produced the item 1, then the consumer has consumed the same items 5 number of a times, that is got 1, got 1, got 1, got 1, got 1. Then after that, from 2 to 7, again the producer has producer has got the control and it has produced the 6 items, and lastly the consumer has consumed the last item. So this is what an incorrect implementation of a producer consumer problem. So we need to rectify it. So for that we need to write the program in Java which uses wait and a notify to signal in both the directions. Here we can see here, so we have written a get method, and one in extra field we have added, which is a boolean type of a data value set, which is set to false. Then we have called the wait, that is once the consumer starts consuming the item, don't allow producer to produce item. So for that we have called this wait. Then once the item is consumed, we are going to show it, that is we are going to display its value onto the computer screen. Then we'll set the value set is equal to false. Notify, that is now allow the producer thread to produce the next item. So in the same way, when the producer will go on producing the item, at that time don't allow consumer to consume the same item more number of times. For that we have called again a wait. Then value set is equal to true, then display the value, then notify that. Once the task is over, notify it so that the consumer can go for consuming its item. Then we have defined the producer class same way. Next, the consumer class, same, already we have defined in the last program. then same PC fixed, that is same object creation of a queue, producer and a consumer in the main method. So now if you see, first a producer has produced item 1, then the consumer has consumed it. Next the producer has produced the second item, consumer has consumed it. Third item produced by the producer, then consumed by the consumer. Fourth item produced by the producer, fourth item consumed by the consumer. Like that you will be able to get the output, and this is possible only when you make use of a wait and notify. So this is a one kind of a problem. So second kind of a problem we have is a readers writers problem. Suppose that a database is to be shared among several concurrent processes. Some of these processes may want only to read the database, whereas others may want to update the database. So here let me clarify the database. So how do you define a database? Database is nothing but the information about the data which is stored in a computer memory. So whenever you want to store the information about the data into the computer memory, we need to follow some syntax, and after following the syntax, in that format the information about the data will be stored. So here we distinguish between these two types of processes by referring to the former as the readers and to the latter as writers. So here nothing but the processes, those who want to only read the database, those processes we call it as a readers, and the processes who want to update the database, it may be reading or writing the database, then that type of processes we call it as a writers. So obviously if two readers access the shared data simultaneously, no adverse effects will result. However, if a writer and some other process access the database simultaneously, then there is a problem arises. If the two readers want to have access to the same shared data parallelly, you can allow the two readers to read the data from the database. But if suppose one process is writing to the database, at the same time another process want to read the same information which is not yet been updated by the writer, then there is a problem arises. So to ensure these difficulties do not arise in the program, we require that the writers have exclusive access to the shared database while writing to the database. Exclusive access in the sense, when once a writer process gets a control of the program to modify or to update the database, at the same time do not allow any other process, maybe reader or a writer, to have access to that shared data. So this synchronization problem is referred to as readers writers problem. So the readers writers problem has several variations, all involving priorities. The first reader writers problem requires that no reader be kept waiting unless a writer has already obtained permission to use the shared object. So in other words, no reader should wait for other readers to finish simply because a writer is waiting. Suppose until and unless writer gets a permission to update the database, allow as many readers as possible to read the database. The second reader writers problem requires that once a writer is ready, the writer performs its write as soon as possible. In other words, if a writer is waiting to access the object, no new readers may start reading it. Once the writer is ready to update the database, do not allow any other reader process to start reading the database. So these are the two types of reader writers problems. So in the solution to the first readers writers problem, the readers processes share the following data structure. So we have a semaphore, mutex and a write, and in a there is a one integer variable called as a read count. So this semaphore allows you to synchronize between the readers writers. So when the reader is reading the database, the semaphore does not allow writer to perform the write operation, and if suppose the writer is writing to the database, then no new readers are allowed to read the database. So that is what exactly the job of the semaphore. So we are using two types of semaphore here, mutex and a write, which are initially set to 1 and the read count value is initialized to 0. The semaphore write is common to both reader and writer processes. The mutex semaphore is used to ensure mutual exclusion when the variable read count is updated. So this mutex variable is basically we are using who has got the permission to access to the database. The read count variable keep tracks of how many processes are currently reading the object. So here is a structure of a writer process. So first wait, that is get first the exclusive access to the database by calling the wait. So once you get the permission to update the database, go on updating the database. Once updation is over, you need to release the mutex clock so that the new reader can go for reading the database by using a signal. So the wait and a signal, these are the two operations which we can perform on a semaphore. On a semaphore where wait is allowed to check whether somebody has already got the permission to read or write the database. If nobody has got, then you will be getting it. And signal is nothing but releasing the lock, in which you are incrementing the value of the semaphore. Then this is the structure of a reader process. So first wait means first check it who has got the permission. If a reader is there, then go on incrementing the value of a read count. If the value of a read count is equal to 1, then allow the write operation to be performed by the write. Then signal mutex, start reading it, means allow the reader processes to read the database. Then wait mutex, read count will be -1 if the value of a read count equal to 0. Then signal write, signal mutex. So this is what the structure of a reader process. So acquiring reader writer lock requires specifying the mode of lock, either read or write access. When a process wishes only to read shared data, it requests the reader writer lock in read mode. A process wishing to modify the shared data must request the lock in a write mode. Multiple processes are permitted to concurrently acquire a reader writer lock in read mode, but only one process may acquire the lock for writing, as exclusive access is required for the writing. So this is what exactly the reader's writer problem, and I am giving you as a homework, that is implementation of a reader writer's problem by using Java programming language.